Paddy Power's new iPhone app is quicker than Big Sam at a carvery. Download it now. Paddy Power, you're welcome. 18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
Hello there, welcome along to the Racing Post Football Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, that's Mark Langdon, and that's Dan Childs. We've also got on the line Ed Quigley from Paddy Power. We are going to look ahead to another absorbing weekend in the Premier League. There's some Champions League taking place next week as well, so we'll try and dig out some early value. And we will also see what the big issues are in terms of anti-post betting, because we had the, what's it called? It's just the League Cup these days, isn't it, lads?
Yeah. They call it the EFL Cup,
yeah,
but I just call it the League Cup. Yeah.
Is the Premier League sponsored, by the way, this year?
No, they took the decision that I think you can get bigger endorsements out of not being associated to one brand. So
really?
Somebody does the timekeeping. You have an official timekeeper.
Oh, that's right.
And all that kind.
I
of
keep
stuff.
hearing various Sky people saying, "I'm welcome along to the Premier League," because the old habits die hard, obviously. Right. Okay. Let's start with the 6 questions of the week, 2 each. You answer them, and then you get to answer the one you weren't asked that you wish you were. Mark Langdon, we'll start with you. Where should Wayne Rooney be positioned when Manchester United kick off against Leicester on Saturday?
I suppose on the bench, probably. That would be the short answer. But do you want a longer one, Bruce?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I just think that there's so much emphasis on Rooney being the problem at Manchester United. I mean, I don't think it's that simple. I mean, there's definitely a case for saying he should be dropped, particularly after the performance against Watford. But I don't think United are suddenly going to become this much better team just if Rooney ends up sitting a game out. I mean, it's not Rooney that didn't buy right back in the summer. It's not Rooney that's hung the young left back and Lingard out to dry. It's not Rooney that plays Fellaini as the holding midfielder. It's not Rooney that is making all these tactical decisions, is it? I mean, Rooney's just one part of a very big problem, I think, for Manchester United. So the short answer is I think he should be on the bench, but he's not the only issue. I didn't think he played that badly when he went on the wing in the second half of the Manchester derby, actually, on the right, but I think probably time has come to try something else.
Okay, that was a very good answer. I'm glad you gave us the long answer and didn't just say on the bench. Well done. Dan Childs, who will win the League Cup? Give me the long answer.
I think Liverpool. I mean, I'm in danger of being called obsessed with Liverpool because I've tipped them for the Premier League as well. But I just think they're the best team that are taking the competition really seriously. I mean, obviously not being in Europe. You look at the teams that he's put out against Burton in the second round and against Derby. He clearly he's looking to get this competition won, take a bit of the pressure off him as well after he lost that Europa League final last year. Get that first trophy in the bag. And I think they got that draw at home to Spurs. I think I still fancy them to win that match. I think Spurs, with their Champions League commitments and pushing in the league, are going to be likely to rest a lot of players for that going. Liverpool will be strong again, and I'd fancy them to come through that and could go all the way.
What's the latest betting? It's quite interesting, this League Cup after the draw, isn't it? With it very lopsided, all those good ties. Ed, how'd you bet?
Okay, so Arsenal are gone into favourites after last night's draw. They're currently 9-2. City are 5-1. Liverpool are also 5s. Chelsea at 11-2. Man United 7-1. Tottenham 10-1. Southampton 14s, and the rest are 25s bar.
Okay, I must say that one of your rivals, I think, is going 7s, Man City. I think that's an absolutely bonkers price, but I certainly take Dan's point on board about Liverpool. Ed Quigley, talking to Man City, why is De Bruyne such a big price for Player of the Year?
Okay, so De Bruyne has 7-2. I think he could have got 14s on him there about 2 weeks ago. You think he's a big price?
I think it's a massive price, yeah. I know. Look, it's obviously absurd to draw early conclusions after about 5 games, but I just think he's absolutely different class at the moment. And, I mean, second favourite's Ibrahimovic still, isn't it? Or is he taking a little walk?
It's Hazard's second favourite, he's actually co-favourites, oddly enough. I don't know who priced this up at the weekend, but I don't see why Hazard's the same price as De Bruyne.
Exactly.
But Ibra's then second favourite, all right. Yeah, I mean, he has been on song, all right. The only caveat I'd have with that is, no one saw Mahrez getting it last year, and he would have been a big price this time last year, even still. I mean, he's 33s there now, I can see at the minute. But I'm not saying Mahrez is going to do it again, but, players just come out of the woodwork in this kind of market. I don't know if I'd be taking 7-2 on De Bruyne yet, but I think if you do fancy City for the league, better than backing the 8 to 11 on them to win the league. I think it's better to back if you really fancy City. I think they're going to have De Bruyne and Aguero firing. I'd nearly Dutch De Bruyne and Aguero, and you get a bigger price there than 8 to 11.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And by the way, on the Premier League, I said to you before we came on air, Ed, you need to get a without Man City market up because that's very competitive. None of the bookmakers have gotten to that. So that's something for you to do this afternoon, mate. I'm sure you haven't got much else on. Lango, what was the best summer signing?
This is a tough one. I'm going to go for at the moment. I think Matip at Liverpool really has improved their defence. He was unheralded when he came in. It wasn't seen as a really big move. I think he's done excellent there. I mean, what an upgrade he is on Skirtle at the moment. Anyway, of course, he looks a threat as well in the opposition box. Maybe somebody to look out for in the first goal scorer market or any time goal scorer market, sort of in the future. I mean, he wasn't the biggest name signing, but I think he's had
how much they pay for him?
I think it was a free transfer. They sort of signed him a couple of months before the summer. I think his contract was running out. I didn't expect him to have this much of an impact. I thought he was okay in the Bundesliga, but obviously Klopp saw something in him, and he's definitely started the season very well.
Excellent. Okay. Dan, who wins the sack race? It's like odd use of win, I know, because you don't punch there and you've got... Do you remember we did that story once? I think punters who backed
Steve
in...
Bruce. Was it
Bruce? I thought it was Holloway. Punters who backed in Holloway were celebrating last night, but a man lost his job. All very callous, but they do bet on it. What are the latest prices before Dan tells us the value, Ed?
Okay, so with us, Mark Hughes is currently evens, and then Guidolin, who seems to be a massive gamble on him over the last 3 or 4 days, he's into 9 to 4, and then you've Pulis at 100 to 30. I think that's a bit of a false price. I can't see Pulis leaving next anyway. And then you've Bilic, who is a surprise contender. He's fourth favourite at 5s, and then you've Moisey at 9s, and then you've Pardew at 12s. I'd say Pardew's pretty safe. Thereafter, I can't see much value in the market thereafter. I think it's top heavy. I've a pretty big bet on Mark Hughes at 7 to 1. I hope it clicks, but Guidolin seems to look like he could scupper that somewhat because there's massive money for him over the last 2 or 3 days.
Okay, what about you, Dan? Where's the value?
Of the top of the market, I think Guidolin is the one that I'd be keener to be on than Hughes. I just think the Stoke chairman, he's got quite a history of sticking by his managers when they have a bit of a rough patch. I think he'll. As long as Hughes picks up a result in the next couple of games, I think they got West Brom at home at the weekend. I mean, that's a good chance for him to. I know they got knocked out by Hull last night, but I mean there was an improvement in their performance. I think they had 21 shots to 5 against, so there was a bit of an improvement in their performance.
The only thing is though, Dan, I'm obviously watching them get thumped by Palace, and that kind of Stoke spirit that underpins what they do just seems to be melting away a little bit. They look worryingly, the Whelans and the Shaw crosses and those kind of guys. Just didn't kind of feel like they were, trying to dominate games like they used to.
And their key players are not really coming to the party at the moment. You're not seeing the best at the moment of Arnautovic. Shaqiri has been injury prone again, as he always is.
Missing the keeper,
got that great goal Shaqiri didn't he on the opening day at Middlesbrough, fantastic goal, and then was injured again since. They need players like, I think he's back in training now, could feature at the weekend, but Guidolin would be the one for me because I'm not sure he was. Well, I'm pretty sure he wasn't their first choice in the first place. They were looking at a couple of other guys, so I don't think it would take a lot there. I think Swansea, the chairman there, Hugh Jenkins, is known to. I mean, with Gary Monk, a lot of people didn't see it coming when he went. Also with Laudrup as well. So I think there's more likely to be a change there due to the chairman than at Stoke.
Is there someone waiting in the wings? I suppose Steve Bruce is the king of waiting in the wings.
Ryan Giggs at Swansea. Yeah.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Ed, you told us a little while ago that Blackburn were doomed, as the guy off Dad's Army used to say. I notice now that you were a stick out 4 to 11, weren't you, Blackburn, to be relegated? Your beloved Blackburn. They're now 8 to 11. Are they still doomed?
I still think they're in a bad position. I mean, they beat Rotherham, but I think Rotherham, they're like the Sunderland of the Championship, but they never seem to go down, but they're going down this season. I think Rotherham, they're like 8 to 15 favs to go down. We did beat them last weekend. It was obviously a huge 6-pointer for us, but already in the season. But I still fancy Blackburn to go down. I think the other ones that could be in massive danger as well, because Burton seems to be plucky and seems to be getting a few points here and there. I think Preston will be okay as well. I think Cardiff are the other ones who could go down. They're currently 11 to 4 as well. They seem to be in big trouble. Leeds seem to be putting a few results together recently as well, so they're moving closer towards mid-table and safety.
What price of Forest?
Forest
Sorry, I'll put you on the spot there.
No, they're 17-2.
Yeah, I mean, they've been battered on the stats most weeks actually, Forest. So
Have they?
Yeah. I mean, even when they've picked up points, have not been particularly impressive.
They absolutely killed me when they got that equaliser against Villa. That was horrible.
And they lost their best player as well, just on the deadline.
Ollie
Burke as well. He was great for getting them out of trouble in some games earlier in the season.
Okay, Lango, which question do you want to answer? Unless it was that one.
No, I'll take the sack race one. I think Goidelin should be favourite actually for the reasons really that Dan mentioned about the loyalty that Stoke have shown in the past. I mean, the Coates family, I don't think have got where they've got by making ridiculously rash decisions. I think they'll give Hughes unless the fans really turn on him, which I don't think they have done yet. Not to the extent where he's left with no option other than to get rid. I don't see Hughes being under the kind of pressure maybe internally that he is externally. And Goidelin, I mean, there was a story in the Telegraph today that even during pre-season he wasn't taking the morning sessions in America because he was watching the Tour de France.
Good lad.
And so there were they did put allegedly in that, but I mean clearly there have been issues there. I mean, he's made a first half substitution, didn't he, against Chelsea, which didn't go down well with Neil Taylor. He's been messing around with the team. They were absolutely annihilated Southampton, even though it was a narrow score. I was reading the match reports of the local journalist there. I mean, it sounds like his days are numbered, and they've got Man City and Liverpool in the next two games. I mean, you couldn't have asked for two worse matches, really, if you were looking for a result at the moment.
What price is he again, Ed? I'm going to have to lump on. Everyone's making such a good case.
He's 9-4 with us.
9-4, blimey. Okay, Dan, which question are you going to take?
I'm going to go for the sign of the season. I'm going to mention a Watford player. I think Pereira as their record signing 13 million, and he's come in straight out of the frying pan into the Premier League. Come on against Arsenal, was superb, even though they lost 3-1. He was the key to changing that game in the second half and winning the second half. Was man of the match at West Ham after that in the 4-2. Ran the game. Apparently, I wasn't there. My dad was there, said he was. And I watched him against Manchester United and provided a brilliant assist for the goal as well that won the game for them, really, the Zuniga goal. And it's not just his creative work, he's sheer class on the ball, but he does a lot of the defensive work as well. Was the main man in nullifying Pogba, actually, during the game. What something you don't necessarily see watching the game on the television, but his work off the ball is fantastic as well.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Did you take Joseph?
Took Joseph?
I bet he loved that, didn't he? Was that his finest moment at being a Watford fan?
It probably was, yeah, absolutely.
When I met Joseph, it was after Wembley, wasn't it? After we'd beaten you in the cup.
Yeah, he was a bit upset that day, wasn't he?
I'm wondering if Charles is Harry the Hornet, actually.
Couldn't he? Yeah,
I think you might be, Dan.
Definitely not got the moves. No.
I've seen you dance. You can dance. Don't worry about that. Ed, which question would you like to answer?
Yeah, I'll take the League Cup. I agree with Dan as well. Like I've had a pretty big bet on Liverpool to win it as well. So I hope they oblige. I just think they're the team that are going to take it most serious out of the kind of top contenders. Like Chelsea made changes, not too many now, fairness Chelsea, but they've got a tough draw now. Well, tough on paper anyway. West Ham away last night. United made a lot of changes. Tottenham made a lot of changes, and that's who Liverpool are playing next. So and they got the home draw as well. So I think Liverpool at 5-1's a cracking bet.
What's this a mime of? And that was me doing a face palm. The West Ham board when they saw the draw Chelsea at home. No, I suppose they'll make a load of money, won't they? But do you still have to give like a quarter of the ground to the away team?
No, the 15% has gone from the League Cup. I saw a Liverpool fan complaining that their ticket allocation wasn't what you would sort of expect from a cup tie. So I think they'll be giving them as few tickets as possible. Whatever you're doing, don't go to Westfield shopping that night. Would be the
some people will, won't they? They won't know. Some people don't understand football. They'll just go, I'm going to go and get a new dress or something. They'll be walking through Westfield. It will be absolute carnage. Let's hope it passes off safely. Okay, so a big vote there for Liverpool in the League Cup. Before we have a quick look at a long look at the weekend stuff, Ed, I believe the Hotshot Jackpot was won again last week, wasn't it? Second week running. What are you lot doing?
Yeah, we're paying out big at this stage. There was goals galore last weekend. Two punters shared it again last weekend.
How much did they win?
They won 125 each, or maybe it was 150 each. I can't remember. But they were quite lucky though. That both of them had Christian Eriksen, I'm pretty sure, any time, and he didn't play. And if a player doesn't play, it reverts to the shortest price home team anytime goal scorer. And so that was Kane then. So that clicked for them. And Tottenham actually brought on three midfielders, and none of them was Eriksen. So it's incredible luck. But so basically the rules are of Hotshot Jackpot anyway, for anybody who hasn't listened to this podcast before. Punters pick 8 anytime goal scorers and select the Premier League games. It's 250k if you get all 8 correct. It's free to enter, and the address is hotshotjackpot.paddypower.com, and you can use your existing Paddy Power login if you're an existing customer. And if there's no winner, it increases by 25k. There's also consolation prizes as well if it's not won.
And it sounds like the mathematics of this bet, you're absolutely in the players' favour, aren't they, Ed?
Yeah, no, big time. Yeah, it's definitely worth doing anyway. I think at the minute, it might be changed relatively soon, but
okay, well, get on while you can. So we're looking at the Premier League games next, and hopefully there'll be some clues there for your Hotshot Jackpot.
Introducing Hotshot Jackpot, Paddy Power's new free-to-enter competition, available to all customers. Every Premier League week, simply pick 8 anytime goal scorers from 8 selected matches, and you could win £250,000 or more. Excludes in-shop bets. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. We've got 4 live Premier League games to look at, starting at Saturday at 12:30. Man U v Leicester. What an interesting game that will be. The last week was the first time in 14 years that Mourinho's lost 3 competitive matches in a row. They bounced back to form with a 3-1 unconvincing annihilation of Northampton in midweek, but Leicester are going to be a tough test, aren't they, Mark Langdon?
Yeah, they will be. I still think that United probably deserve to be around the price they are. I mean, I've spoken on this podcast before about being unsure where Leicester are in the Premier League pecking order, and I remain unconvinced. I mean, the 2 teams they've beaten so far, Swansea and Burnley, I think are going to get at home as well. I think most teams are going to beat them, even in the Champions League. Club Brugge are doing pretty poor in Belgium, so I don't think we've sort of seen them beat anything yet, Leicester, in terms of sort of where they are. And United, for all of their problems, I still think they deserve to be odds-on favourites. I was looking at Rashford to score first. I'm not a huge Rashford fan, but he just seems to find himself in the right position just all the time.
Because it's funny, because everyone, the general consensus is that the one good thing about this season for United is Rashford, isn't it? What's your down on him? What are your negatives?
I just think he's very raw. I mean, I don't think his his general play is particularly good. He doesn't seem to, if it comes into his feet, he doesn't seem to be able to find a teammate particularly well. I think his sort of game awareness isn't the best, but he just seems to have a knack of popping up in just about in the right positions just all the time. I mean, he's got 3 in 5 matches this season. Of course, he's not been a regular starter. And I think if Leicester struggle at the heart of their defence, they'll probably rather play against an Ibrahimovic, I think, Hoover and Morgan, because, mobility's not his strong point, whereas I think Rashford's pace may be the difference there. And I was just looking at him at first goal scorer, considering his goals record this season and last. It looked a fair price for the first goal scorer.
Rashford, first goal for Mark. Who for you, Dan?
I would think I'll be laying Man United here. I'm a little bit. I understand the argument about Leicester. They haven't really beaten any good side yet. But I mean, in terms of what's in front of them, the 3-0 at Bruges and the 3-0 against Burnley, they were impressive in both of those games. I like the front 3 as well. Since Slimani's come in, Slimani, Vardy, Mahrez, it looks like it's clicking. Quite early that Slimani coming into the side with Mahrez, they seem to know each other's game from playing together with Algeria as well. And I just think they're going the right way. And Man United, I know they won at Northampton, but they're going the wrong way at the moment. And they were poor against Watford, really poor in that first half against Manchester City as well. And at those prices, I'll be taking them on.
Just Leicester on the double chance then, yeah?
Yeah, Leicester and the draw double chance.
Okay, Ed, we'll get some prices from you and then maybe your view about what's going to happen here.
Okay, so Man United are currently trading at 4-6. The draw is 11-4, and Leicester are available at 9-2. Yeah, all's not well at United, it seems, at the minute. I mean, there's talks of dressing room leaks and all this. Rooney's the one being collared for that, apparently, online. Rooney did start up front last night, and again, he got panned for his performance against Northampton. They struggled again last night. I have a pretty big bet on United for the league at tasty prices, like 13-2 and 7-1, and it looks.
What are the tasty prices that you got?
Yeah, it looks it looks Donald Duck already, like, you know what I mean, which is annoying. But yeah, I mean, Leicester lost their only two away games this season in the league. That was against Hull and Liverpool. They were probably unlucky to lose against Hull, but they were battered by Liverpool. I expect United to win, but I wouldn't be backing 4-6. I'd probably be looking for closer to 5-6 before I'd be tempted, because Leicester have improved recently, and as Dan just said there, like, Slimani looks a great signing. And Kasper Schmeichel is a doubt for the game. So is Shaw and Mkhitaryan and Martial. I think Martial's out for United. 4 out of 5 Leicester's games have gone over 2.5. So I expect United to score and Leicester to concede, obviously. So yeah, I'll be backing over 2.5 goals at 8-11, or else United.
8-11. Okay. And what?
United and over as well at 6-4 is a good shout, I think, too.
Righty-ho. What price is Rashford to score first and Leicester on the double chance?
Yeah, so Rashford's 6-1 to score first, which looks pretty big to me. And anytime he's 9-5, and then Leicester and the draw is 6-5.
Just quickly before we move on, Mark, if Mourinho does decide to drop Rooney here, do you think Rooney will take it like a man and just stick his tracksuit on and do his thing, or could it all go absolutely bonkers?
I think he'll take it. I mean, I don't think Rooney hasn't been a particularly bad professional. I don't think over the years in terms of his ethic for the team. I mean, it's not his fault he keeps getting selected, is it? I don't know.
No,
so
fair
I mean, I think he's obviously had put in those transfer requests, but I mean that's just to get more money. I mean, most footballers have done that over the past.
You keep doing that, don't you?
Yeah,
You keep
I do.
trying to make up the times are after him and 4-4-2, honestly. Yeah. He's even got an agent now. 5:30 on what is a really good Saturday for live football. Arsenal v Chelsea. This will be a cracker. How'd you bet, Ed?
Yeah, so Arsenal 11-8. The draw is 23-10, and Chelsea are 21-10. Yeah, I think Arsenal look a price here. I backed them heavy in this fixture last season. I think it was last January, and Mertesacker was sent off after like 5 minutes, and I don't know, Costa scored like a minute later. He's injured in this game, thankfully, so that can't happen again. But yeah, I mean, they like, Arsenal are improving. Chelsea are conceding too many goals for me at the minute. The loss of John Terry seems to be compounding that too. I'm not convinced by Luiz or even the new lad Marcus Alonso either. So yeah, I think both teams to score, yes, is a cracking bet of 4-7, but it's probably going to be a bit too short for some people. So I'd probably be going for Arsenal and both teams to score 3-1.
Okay, what about you, Mark?
I was looking towards opposing Arsenal, actually. Maybe sort of Chelsea on the draw no bet, maybe, or even on the Asian handicap, you'd be able to get a small start for Chelsea. It's just, I mean, Arsenal haven't scored in their last 6 Premier League games against Chelsea, but
haven't they?
No, I mean that doesn't. I don't think that's necessarily a pointer for what's going to happen on Saturday. But I do think that Arsenal in big matches have come up short time and time again. This is not. Even back to last season, they beat Leicester home and away, but they didn't beat Tottenham, they didn't beat Liverpool, they lost to what was like a Man United reserve team at Old Trafford. So they did beat Manchester City at home, but I mean, City were a bit of a mess last year. I can see this as being a game where Chelsea avoid defeat. I don't think they've been defending quite as bad as the sort of goals against stats would suggest. I think they're being punished heavily at the moment, for some minor mistakes. So I think it's going to be quite a tighter game maybe than Ed was suggesting. The draw's a fair runner. I'll go Chelsea draw no bet.
Chelsea draw no bet. Dan?
I can see it being tight, and I fancy the draw, but I do think there'll be goals in the game. I mean, I look at Chelsea. I think the last 5 games they've conceded 2 goals in 4 of them, including 2 against Bristol Rovers in the cup. So there is an issue there. I'm not so sure that. I think with Terry being out, it's made it a little bit worse as well at the back there. Luiz coming in, and
when's Zuma back?
That they were saying October/November.
Righto.
So I think Arsenal can expose that, but I'm not convinced by Arsenal's defence in the big games. Chelsea got plenty of players that can hurt them. I think picking a winner I think is difficult. I think a draw would be where I go, but I would say a high scoring draw, 2-2. I think about 11-1. That might be worth a shot.
Righty ho. Best bets of the week.
This will not be beaten.
I'm going for the hat-trick, so I'm definitely going first. And I'm going to go for West Bromwich Albion at 6-5, draw no bet at Stoke. I'm not having Stoke at all. I think they've got problems. Mark?
I don't like backing teams on long winning runs, but I am going to do that this weekend. Plymouth to make it 8 in a row. I think the reason that they're available at a decent price at home to Hartlepool is because their shot stats are not very good. But I think that's all part of the game plan, really, as far as Plymouth are concerned. They are a team that keep it tight defensively and are quite efficient up front. And so I think you're getting decent value about them.
What sort of price are we looking at?
They're around about sort of 10 to 11, 5 to 6 at home to a Hartlepool side. It's a long journey for them. I think it's going to be a disappointing one as well.
Dan?
I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday at home to Nottingham Forest, 4 to 5 in the Championship. I think Sheffield Wednesday, they've been a bit inconsistent, brought a lot of good players in, but they've not quite knitted together at the moment. But the last home game, I think they were 2-0 down against Bristol City, come back to win 3-2. That could give them a little kickstart. And I agree with everything Mark said about Nottingham Forest earlier. I think since they lost Ollie Burke, they've struggled. Britta Sombolongo came back from injury, and now he's been out again. That's another big player they're missing. And I think they'll struggle, and shade of odds on for Wednesday here is a good bet.
OK, so the fourfold is West Brom draw no bet, Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, and who, Ed Quigley?
Under 1.5 goals at 2 to 1 in Borough versus Tottenham. Harry Kane is obviously gone for the next 2 months. He scored 36% of their goals this calendar year, and he's obviously a huge blow. Palace 2 weeks ago were the first team to put 2 goals past Borough at Riverside since January. They're also pretty toothless up front when Grado quite isolated. So yeah, I really fancy the under goals here, and under 1.5 is 2 to 1.
Righty-ho, Sunday's game's coming up.
Introducing Hotshot Jackpot, Paddy Power's new free-to-enter competition, available to all customers. Every Premier League week, simply pick 8 anytime goal scorers from 8 selected matches, and you could win £250,000 or more. Excludes in-shop bets. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. It's Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Dan Childs, and from Paddy Power, Ed Quigley, looking ahead to the Sunday and Monday live Premier League fare. 4 o'clock at the London Stadium, West Ham versus Southampton. West Ham have conceded at least 3 goals in their last 3 Premier League games. That's not like them. And obviously struggled like mad to get past Accrington. Talking of which, Ed Quigley, how much pain did that inflict on you when West Ham got the job done? Because all those people fishing around for the short ones in midweek accas, they copped, didn't they?
Yeah, I know. It definitely cost a couple of £100 at the very least. I wasn't in last night, but yeah, late winners like that cost the company a lot of money. So Payet was the main man for the punters last night.
What's the betting here? West Ham, Southampton?
Yeah, West Ham are 17 to 10. The draw is 23 to 10, and Southampton are 8 to 5. Look,
Who's going to win?
West Ham have obviously had a rough start to the season. Bilic is obviously 4th favourite, as we mentioned earlier, in the sack race of 5s. They did beat Bournemouth in one of the worst TV games I've ever watched on Sky. Look, they were missing Payet for the first few games of the season. He's back now, and he's doing Rabonas and scoring free kicks. And Southampton have also had a tough away start. They've played United and Arsenal so far, and they've lost both of them. I think that West Ham look a price here, though, despite their bad run. They look huge to me. Like they're dogs at home. Like, it's crazy. Okay. So yeah, 17 to 10, or else draw no bet at evens as well. And other shout outs are, if you fancy Southampton, Charlie Austin's is banging them in at the minute with 4 and 3, and he's available at 6 to 4 anytime for the Hotshot Jackpot. And obviously Antonio's flying as well, and he's available at 5 to 2 anytime.
West Ham are huge, according to Ed. What about you, Mark?
No, I don't like it. I mean, I think if this game was at Upton Park, maybe. But I mean, what is
under
home?
The lights?
Yeah, well,
or just any?
Well, I mean, I think Upton Park was a hostile environment for opposing
this is pretty
players
hostile
to go
as well.
But this is a hostile for the home supporters. I mean, look, they haven't worked it out yet at home, have they? I think it's pretty obvious to everybody there. And I think Southampton have done a lot better than the results suggested. I mentioned earlier on in the postcast that they played really well against Swansea. Only got the 1 goal. Should never have lost to Arsenal. You know, they outshot Arsenal, and not many teams do that at the Emirates. I thought they were comfortable at Old Trafford until Ibrahimovic came to play. West Ham haven't got an Ibrahimovic. They haven't got a left back either. Their left back got injured last night, stretching featured
They've
off.
still got George McCarthy.
George
McCartney.
I don't think they have. No, I think they.
He's rejoined the Beatles, has he?
Yeah, I mean, they're missing Cresswell. I think down the left-hand side. I think he was an excellent player, both defensively and offensively. For them, I like Southampton draw no bet in this game. So me and Ed will have to have a chat afterwards.
Okay, you'll have to be the deciding voice here, Dan.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
It's one of them. I mean, before looking at the prices, you're kind of looking to edge towards, maybe thinking Southampton will be a price. But I looked at the prices, and I think West Ham being outsiders, I would edge towards them. I just think there's a little bit too much being made. I look at these two teams. I think there'll be very similar positions in the table by the end of the season. I'd have them both around about mid-table. And I just think Payet he's come off the bench, got his goal. That will lift the confidence a little bit there. Lanzini wasn't available as well start of the season. He is available now. Antonio, a constant, playing well. I just think they've still got some players that can hurt you. And maybe one of the reasons Southampton are not getting the points they should do is because they've lost Pella and they've lost Mane, lost a couple of their big match winners. So maybe that theme might carry on. They might keep playing well and not get the points that they feel that they deserve. And I just still feel that maybe they might settle into these new surroundings eventually, West Ham.
You'd hope so.
Well, when they were 2 up against Watford, there was I was told that the atmosphere actually at the time it was quite noisy and intimidating as well. So sometimes results dictate how the place feels. And
they've only won the one game though, haven't they, against Bournemouth?
Yeah.
And that was when they were down to 10 men. So
I backed Bournemouth that day, and I still thought West Ham. I had to be honest, West Ham were the better side, and even with 11v11, I thought certainly first half. They were the better team, so
okay.
I'm not as down on West Ham.
We've got a split decision then. So Ed and Dan are both with West Ham, Mark's with Southampton. Let's see if there's any more clarity on the Monday night game, which kicks off at 8 o'clock at Turf Moor. It's Burnley versus Watford. And Ed Quigley, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, so Burnley are 9-5, the draw is 11-5, and Watford are 13-8. Yeah, I really like Watford here. I think their price looks big. I think it may shorten as we approach Monday night. Watford have had a pretty good start to the season, obviously, with wins against United and West Ham away, and they got a point against Southampton when they were down to 10-2 on the first day of the season. Burnley, like they were under huge pressure against Hull. Allegedly, I didn't see that game at home in their last home game, and the four scored a screamer. They beat Liverpool as well, obviously, at home, but that was like 20% possession. That day they had 3 shots on target and 2 of them went in. That luck can't continue. Yeah, I'd be definitely... I'm going to have a big bet, I think, on Watford draw no bet here.
Are you, Mark?
I like Watford. I think draw no bet could be the way to go as well. I just don't see them losing the game. I thought that Mazzari would have taken longer to adapt to the back three. And given that he's changed the whole team around, really, I think the defeats to Chelsea and Arsenal were A, understandable, and B, they weren't that bad. In the first half against Chelsea, they played well. In the second half against Arsenal, they played well. I think we saw a more 90-minute performance sort of against Manchester United, against West Ham. They've put 4 past them. I mean, Burnley just, to me, looked like a championship team. I'm not even sure they were the best team in the championship last season, despite finishing top. I don't think they've strengthened enough for the Premier League. And Watford should be able to go there and definitely not lose the game.
Dan, will it be 3 yeses for Watford?
Yeah, I have to fancy Watford here. I mean, one of the things about the Man United game, although they played some nice football, I thought physically as well, against quite a powerful Manchester United team with Pogba, Fellaini, I thought they matched them at the very least, but maybe even bullied them slightly at times as well. And that's going to be vital. Any team going to Burnley, you've got to match them physically at first and then let your football take over. Watford have got enough to do both, and I think the price is too big.
Are you having a neat win bet, or would you take the draw no bet?
I think draw no bet. I would be happier to do that.
What's the draw no bet price, Ed?
4-5.
4-5. Okay, right. Before we go, very quickly, lads, give us one team to back in the Champions League next week. Ed, we'll start with you.
We'll
start with you, Mark, because Ed doesn't know who's playing.
I'll go for Man City on the handicap against Celtic. Parkhead's a very difficult venue, down the years for teams to go to visit. But I think as long as City deal with that,
what are you hoping that start is?
I fancy.
Do you know what it is?
No, I fancy City to comfortably win the game by at least 2 goals.
So what will they be? +1, -1?
Yeah, I mean you'll be able to get a fair enough price on the -1.
Okay, doke. Dan?
I think I'll go for Porto. I think at Leicester. I mean, I've mentioned a few of the positives about Leicester, but they haven't met a very good side in the Champions League. The win over Bruges, was they did well against an ordinary side. Playing against Porto, I just feel that Porto might be a little bit underrated for this game. Used to playing these big games.
Yeah,
at this
sure.
stage.
Too much know-how. Ed, have you sussed one for us?
Yeah, I'll go for Dortmund at 8-5 against Real Madrid. I just think Dortmund are flying at the minute.
They are, aren't they? Yeah. Very impressive. Okay, lads, thank you very much indeed. We are back next Thursday with another football podcast. Good luck with your bets this weekend.
Paddy Power's new iPhone app is quicker than Big Sam at a carvery. Download it now. Paddy Power, you're welcome. 18 plus, please gamble responsibly.